Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Won't Help Out Anymore. I used to work permanent nights. On nights we often had sickness at the last minute that no one was willing to come in and cover. So we used to all help out one another. We didn't do it for the praise or for additional money. There wasn't any. We did it because we were colleagues for years and there was no one else. Inevitably, our work was taken for granted. The managers never thanked us for helping them out, but they also started to assume that we would cover everything. So they made less and less effort to arrange cover for absence. Even planned absence they knew about in advance. One night, before work, I came in and received a nasty email complaining about staff in our department using the computers of another department. Now, we had our own computers. The only time my department ever used the other department's computers was when we were covering their absence. The email chain showed the other department complaining about us to my manager, who sent out an email to all the night staff in my department saying, "From now on, do not use the other department's computers." I was fuming. We only did it to help out and to stop the other department having to cover night shift at short notice. But I thought, fine, that's how it is. The very next night, the other department is short-staffed again. The supervisor on that shift asked me to cover their department. I say no, I can't. I have been told to not use their computers by my manager. The supervisor says, "Oh no, that's okay. You can use them." No, I can't. My manager told me not to, under any circumstances. So she gets her manager to call me. The same manager who complained about us and say, "For this one shift, you can use our computers." As if she is doing me the favor. So I say, "No, I really can't. You are not my manager. You are not my manager. I cannot defy my manager's instructions." Because they can't get my manager on the line that late at night, another supervisor had to come in last minute and cover the shift. The next story is called Piercing Policy. I used to work at a hardware store. About 10 years ago, I was a sales associate out on the floor. One day, I decided to get my industrials pierced. Because as I knew the policy, but I noticed the front end and a few managers had piercings. That did not fit into the policy, so I thought it was a bit lax. After I got the piercings, I got written up for not following policy. So I researched the policy and purchased a beanie, so I could meet all dress codes while covering them up. I still got written up. I started disputing with HR about it, because they were covered, and I was following policy, even though they were ignoring policy on the front end and allowing them to have face piercings. After a few weeks of fighting, it ended up going to HR outside of the store. District HR calls me in for a meeting with a few store managers and the local HR. HR and managers inform me that even though they are covered, they still have a no piercing above a certain amount, location and size policy, even though they can't see them. I need to get rid of them, because they say it's a safety hazard. I ask how they know I'm wearing and breaking policy, if they cannot see them. They say that they have the right to ask me to take off the beanie, if they think I have them in, and that they notice them in my ears when I'm walking into my shift. I repeat with a slightly different question. So, does that mean you are going to make me undress to check my piercings? HR started backtracking real fast. After questioning the policy and arguing they couldn't enforce what they couldn't see, without harassing people to fit their policy, HR ended up dropping all write-ups. 2 weeks later, they changed the piercing policy to allow more piercing options and dyed hair. I like to think I helped with that policy change. The third story is called Math Class Compliance. When I was in high school 25 years ago, I had the same math teacher for both junior and senior year. She was very strict. She liked that I was good at math. She did not like that I did not care to study or do my homework for math class. I still got A's on my tests and quizzes, which were the vast majority of our grades. I had, in fact, done the math and realized I could go all year without doing any homework and still get an A, so long as I participated in class regularly. One of the rules for our math tests was that we were normally permitted to use a freshly wiped TI-83 calculator. However, for some of our tests, she warned us that we were not going to be permitted to use any kind of electronic calculator. She gave us a sheet with the instructions for the test, what was being tested, etc. I heard that, immediately spotted a loophole, and heard a challenge being issued. I went home and asked my father if he could show me how to use this scientific slide rule. He loves Malicious Compliance and instantly helped me. Once I had the hang of it, I happily brought it to class for the test a few days later. I sat in the front row, assigned seating, so she saw it immediately. No calculators on this test. Miss, the sheet you gave us says no electronic calculators. I handed her the sheet she'd given us at the beginning of the week. A long silence. Do you know how to actually use that? Yes, ma'am. A sigh. She asked me to demonstrate with a quick equation. I did just fine, and she finally just shrugged and said I'd still have to show my work. I would have had to anyway, but it was good to be able to confirm my answers were correct, which was the entire point for me, really. Next test said, no calculators besides your brains and your fingers are allowed to be used on this test. I'm guessing she didn't want someone to turn up with an abacus. The last story is called Daily Reports. Many years ago, I was working in my state's police department. We got a new inspector at the station. He wanted to chart what all the sections of the station did and instituted a daily diary where we had to put in an account for every minute of the shift. Lots of grumbling from the troops over the next few weeks. The inspector would go off about the forms not being recorded properly. Every day a change of shifts, and said that there would be consequences if they did not truly reflect what we did. So I spoke to my shift about it. I used to get into work 30 odd minutes early to fuel the car, gather my kit, wash the car, and prepare for the shift. Now I didn't do this until the minute my shift started. I would then complete these tasks after having started, then calibrate the radar, see what black spots were to be targeted for the day, look at work emails, review the previous night's occurrences, and a myriad of other things before heading out onto the road. Now on each and everything I did, I would record it precisely, even recording the record on the record. Each traffic stop, each job, stopping to give directions or advice would go on the sheet. Then I would return to the station for lunch. Normally I would grab it on the go or eat it in my car. But hey, he wants the official day's duties. Our employment law required that each officer was entitled to 1/2 hour uninterrupted meal break each shift after 5 hours of duty. The inspector, trying to make the station more efficient, started to roster meals before this time. Boss tried to order us to take our meals as recorded on the roster. We all disregarded it and took our meals after the 5 hours. At the end of the day, we attached the industrial award to the daily record and wrote as per industrial law, meal break taken at first possible time after 5 hours. He went off and threatened us to take the meals as written, or write-ups would happen. That was reported to the union, who threatened industrial and legal action, which he would be personally responsible for. He was forced to rescind that threat, so he gave up on that and doubled down on the daily reporting, writing officers up for non-compliance. I told them all what I was doing, and a single page issued at the beginning of the shift was now 3 to 4 pages long, each and every day, for 80 officers for 3 shifts. We swamped him with information. In addition, if our job was broadcast, we were forced to abandon our meal break and attend to the job. Most times we could not return to finish our meals, so often went hungry. The other part of our meal break rule was that if we did not have a full 1/2 hour uninterrupted meal break, then we would be paid the whole meal break. The boss had a habit of going into the meal room to have a fit and complain to the officers in there. So when he did this, it was recorded as an interruption. After a few weeks, productivity was down, hours wasted, his budget being blown out, as he had to pay for interrupted lunch breaks, which he then denied payments, until the union lodged a court injunction and took the police department to court, for each and every single breach for each person and each shift. This amounted to hundreds of matters and thousands of dollars. He said all the daily reporting logs with our interrupted meal breaks were somehow lost. The union showed him the copies taken. He argued that they were done after the court date and were false, but everyone also took copies after they were lodged with his admin assistant, with his received stamp on it. The department's solicitor approached the union with an offer for us to withdraw the matter. They offered 25% of what we were owed, and all the reprimands would be lifted. It was rejected, and the full 100% was demanded, and the reprimands totally withdrawn and deleted from the records. His Honor ruled in our favor in every single matter. We were all awarded our meal money and compensation for the time wasted, with the department fighting this all the way. He had 2 days to comply. This was Friday afternoon, so he had the weekend to get rid of the records. Took him until 9 PM Sunday night to do it, and he wasn't paid for the time. The union sat down with the district command bosses and let them know that this would be a continuing matter if the inspector was not moved, and that their own positions were now up for review for the mismanagement they allowed and the fine the department received from court. The commissioner of police was notorious for terminating those who stuffed around with the troops and dragged the department into court for mismanagement. They had already been embarrassed in court, had the police department received court costs and fines for the breaches, and could see another court appearance looming, and saw the damage he was doing to the station. They transferred him to the district office, where he could not supervise anyone. His contract was not renewed 8 months later, so he left the department. Those who had known the inspector say he had no idea what problems he caused and was just trying to make the organization more efficient. When they told him how much he made things worse, he just said that the troops never minded missing lunch or eating in their cars before. They told him that his demand to strictly follow policy alienated everyone, and to put another daily reporting sheet on top of the department's official daily diary was just superfluous. At the end of the day, he had no clue why he lost his job. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.